I know you're up to the challenge.
Good to go? Thanks, Calvin. Roll call members, please.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Boyd,
Here.
Councilmember Hunter,
Alright.
Supervisor Trombley,
Aye.
and Councilmember Moore is absent.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the minutes from October 11th, from the previous meeting.
That's the one with the fire hydrant.
We got one correction, should be Councilman Hunter, not Supervisor. I don't want the job.
Sorry.
I missed that.
Oh, you got a promotion while you were sleeping.
I won't sleep again.
That'll keep you awake.
You got that right. Oh, that's all I saw. Otherwise, I approve.
Okay, so the motion from Rick to approve with the amendment,
Title?
yeah, the title. Got the letter.
I will second that motion.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Presentations or petitions, communications of the general public. Yes, Colin.
I'm not a general, but I'm public. I'm sure you folks are well into your budget right now, and so we've gotten the projected figures from Mike Zerlo on the sales tax, and Mike's very good about keeping his estimates lower than what we're hoping for, so you don't get surprised in the wrong way at the end. And it takes a while for the actual figures to trickle down to us. I've got figures from the mid-September, because, it takes them to go through all the channels and stuff. But through mid-September, the towns showing 22% over the projected amount from last year, and only 2.7% over the actual. And at every meeting I'm at, I keep hounding poor Kimberly Davis about this, that, why with inflation at 10%, are we just 2 or 3 or 4% over the last year's totals? And, it's really been a brain twister for a lot of us. But I think one thing that I kinda agree with is that there's no stimulus money this year. So that was money that people had and they could
That's right.
spend,
Which
and,
bolstered last year.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that we don't have that stimulus money. And with travel restrictions down, I'm sure that there are people who are spending money out of the county that they would have spent in the county last year, so it's not being spent locally. But, on the other hand, with those travel restrictions down, especially at the border, we got people coming in here.
It's just,
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
It's a good thing.
but I think, with inflation, there's probably been a change in spending habits for a lot of people. So instead of spending a large portion of your money on things that are sales taxable, probably more of that money is going to the groceries, in which we don't
True.
collect sales tax on actual groceries, so I think the spending is different. People are probably spending,
It's been shifted.
yeah, instead of spending it on clothes or electronics or whatever, they're spending it on the necessity of groceries. But without our Canadian visitors, with our thing only 2.7 difference through mid-September, I think we can all agree without our Canadian visitors, we probably be,
In trouble.
no better than last year, if not even
A little
and lower. And I think our decision at the county to not, and I know I discussed it at one of these meetings before, to not take our county sales tax money off gas is important, because, like I said before, every Canadian who leaves here heading north is stopping in Plattsburgh or in Champlain to
Filling up.
fill up their car, so. They're paying that sales tax money and that gas, and that's overall keep the rest of us down, so. I think our sales tax, it's nice to see it's increased. It's nice to see that it's way over Mike's projections, but I think we have to keep our eyes open in the coming months and in the coming year to see what's happening, because if we can keep that border open, keep the Canadians coming through here, every time I go to the shopping center down here or at the mall in Plattsburgh and I see a Canadian plate, I say, thank you, thank you. Thanks for coming. So that's what I got to say about that. Another thing, I was approached recently by entirely different subject here, by Alan Kaufman, and he says, what can we do about getting the correct name for Perry's Mills done? So, it's on the maps now as Perry Mills, and all the signs say Perry Mills instead of Perry's Mills. And just up the road here,
originally Perry's Mills?
it was, oh yeah, the post office was Perry's Mills.
I thought it was me, cause I grew up calling it Perry's Mills. and
No,
then I
that-
started
that's
seeing
what it
signs
was.
all over the place.
That's what it was,
I
and
thought I was wrong.
just up the road here, Honeymore's Corners. I've never seen it spelt like the village of Moores, town of Moores, until those signs went up. That Moore family was a relative of Brian and Stanley Moore, who raised bees and sold honey. And it was Honey Moore's Corners, is how the name got its place. So I would like to come up with some kind of a resolution so you guys could look at, or we could
Okay.
say that any future town, county, or state maps would have these correct historical names on them. And then I would push it at the county level, so that, the county map comes out, we've got the correct name, and try to move that up the ladder on the state level too, so. It just reflects our true, it's not when you look at the problems in the world, this isn't a big one, but
No, so eventually if that happened, it'd come back around to the town to change the signs?
we'll get a little paintbrush and,
Yeah, that'll work.
I don't know, I'm sure New York State puts the signs up here on Honeymore's Corners
Yeah,
at
you're
corner.
right, that would be a state sign.
Yeah, so, but, the maps, I think, is important. It was the Moore family, not the Moores family. There were Moores in our town, and some lived not too far from that area too, that was spelled Moors, like town of Moores. But they had nothing to do with honey Moores, so I think that's just important to,
Where
To
did
get
the
right.
honey part come from?
he raised bees
Oh.
and he sold honey, so.
Oh.
I can send you, just for the heck of it, I went to the old newspaper site on the internet and I typed in Honey Moores, spelt correctly, and I put in the era from the 20s and 30s, and hundreds of newspaper articles with the correct spelling are in there. But the post office was Perry's Mills. The 1869 map shows it Perry's Mills. The Herd book shows it Perry's Mills. The 1860 Gazetteer says Perry's Mills. Averill's 1885 geography says Perry's Mills. There's only one reference I can see, and this was after the post office was in as Perry's Mills. The 1856 map does say Perry Mills. So I think it happened during Gerald Mayo's era that it was changed, but I don't know if it came from the state or what, because I remember Gerald saying to me, I always thought it was Perry's Mills, but I guess it's really Perry Mills, and
Oh, I can tell you, that's.
so, but it's not. If you look at everything else, like I said, the post office was Perry's Mills. Hector Kaufman's literature all said Perry's Mills, everything, so, yeah, wasn't just you, Tom.
So Calvin, with due respect, I'm put you on the spot, but you sure you don't wanna be our historian here?
I
That's
sent
what I was just gonna ask
I
you.
sent you an email a couple days ago.
You must have sent it to my other account.
It said Supervisor Tom Trombley, so I don't know.
Supervisor at Town of Champlain?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I didn't see it, okay.
Anyway,
I'll search it
I
out.
said you could put me in as a placeholder with the idea that we would continue to look for somebody
Right.
who wants to do it. But, you know, it's better to have somebody in there
Thank you.
than not, so you can put me in as a placeholder, but don't think I'd be offended if all of a sudden you say, this person here would like to do it, cause, you know, I really, think it's an important
You're,
job, and we should get somebody in there that
I know.
can devote a lot of time to it.
And I can't think of anybody with more knowledge than you and can rattle the history off by memory. It's amazing.
I've been fortunate to deal with a lot of people who could, so listening to them is kind of absorb a few things, and,
Mhm.
and, speaking of history, next year's gonna be the village of Champlain's 150th anniversary, and I'm hoping that they'll have something, and maybe the town can get involved with them too, and,
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 yes, thank you for reminding us of that.
as you know, the DAR is doing something with the Revolutionary War people, and this area here was, peopled by the, Pliny Moore and others who fought in the Revolutionary War, and so the DAR is trying to recognize the graves that are in the town, cause, we went to the Chute Cemetery when I was there. I know I wasn't able to make it, but I know Beekmantown had a big thing with Goslin, Clement Goslin, who lived in Champlain for a while, but ended up going to Beekmantown and was buried there. So the DAR is trying to
Yep,
pick out these people, so,
There was many of them because they were given land,
yeah,
so they settled here.
yeah. And, people like Jacques Rouse, who, ended up buying lots of land because, let's say we all fought in the Civil War, in the Revolutionary War, but Rick says, I don't really wanna move up there, so Jacques Rouse or Pliny Moore buys his property, and so, so a lot of these grants were given out to people that didn't move here, but they were taken up by people who did, and there's quite a few here who are buried here that, so I think we gotta give more thought to that, because in, 1776, that's just a couple years away from now.
Yes.
So, we gotta start thinking about how we're gonna recognize our founding fathers and mothers. So,
Agreed.
yeah.
So we do need to work on that.
so I'm not gonna be able to stick around too much longer. Is there anything you people want from me as a legislator that you think? You're wondering about, no?
No, Calvin, I can't think of anything at the moment. Now I gotta find your email, I missed that. I don't know how I did. I do get a ton of them, but.
Yeah. You probably went in your spam or you just.
Shouldn't have, I went to this account, but.
Yeah, well, what I do is I delete all the junk, and when it goes to the junk, then I look at it again, just to make sure I didn't hit the wrong button.
Okay. Well, thank you, Calvin.
Alright,
Thank you very much. Thanks for offering to fill that spot as a placeholder.
well, I think I've gone into a public hearing time here.
Yes, just by a couple of minutes. So, I need a motion to close the regular meeting, open public hearing for local law number 3 of 2022.
Make a motion to close the regular meeting and go into public hearing.
Thank you. Seconded by,
I'll second the motion.
thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
I don't need to know.
Okay,
Please take further notice that a public hearing will be held at the regular meeting of the town board of the town of Champlain on Tuesday, November 8th, 2022 at 6:45 p.m. at the town office building 729 Route 9, Champlain, New York as follows. Local law number 3 of 2022, a local law adding a new chapter to the town of Champlain, code entitled Community Choice Energy Program. All person interested will be given an opportunity to speak or to offer written opinions either for or against the proposed local law. Copies of said proposed local law are available for review at the town clerk's office. This meeting is open to the public. Other business will be taken up at this meeting by order of the town board of the town of Champlain.
thank you, Julie. Do I need to reintroduce what local law 3 is, or I think that states it, doesn't it? introduced again. So if there's no further questions, do we wanna put it to vote now, or should I enter the regular meeting to do that, right?
Yeah, you gotta close the public hearing and then.
Yeah, so why don't we leave,
Aside for now?
yeah, and when we get done, all three of
Makes
us
sense.
can address them one at a time.
Yep.
So, motion to close public hearing for local law number 3, and go into public hearing for local law number 4 of 2022.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, we're in the next public hearing.
Please take further notice that a public hearing will be held at the regular meeting of the town board of the town of Champlain on Tuesday, November 8th, 2022 at 7 PM at the town office building, 729 Route 9, Champlain, New York, as follows. Local law number 4 of 2022, a local law to increase the income eligibility to 26,000 for persons with disabilities and limited income in accordance with chapter 187 of the laws of 2006, and to increase the income eligibility to 26,000 for property owned by persons 65 years of age or older in accordance with chapter 186 of the laws of 2006. All persons interested will be given an opportunity to speak or to offer written opinions either for or against the proposed local law. Copies of said proposed local law are available for review at the town clerk's office. The meeting is open to the public. Other business will be taken up at this meeting by order of the town board of the town of Champlain.
Okay, I guess I'll just add to that this also, in addition to the maximum income limit of 26, it applies a sliding scale for those from 26,000 up to 33,500. Correct? Or
Less than
34,000?
34,399, right?
That's right, thank you.
Yep.
So, like I said, it's a sliding scale, when you get to 33,500 or more, but less than 34,399.99, it's 5 cents per centum. So, everybody you will benefit in those income brackets. Julie, I just realized, that one was scheduled for 7, is it okay getting ahead of the clock like that?
I would think so. I mean,
Well, I'd suggest that you close it, then if somebody comes in at 7, you can reopen it.
Okay.
But if nobody appears at 7 and that isn't here now, there shouldn't be any
No harm.
legal problem, because you had left it open, available to be reopened at 7 if necessary.
Okay.
leave it open until 7.
Well, temporarily close it till 7.
Correct, yeah.
So this lady might be here to address the public
right.
hearing.
You betcha.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Uh-oh, which one, the,
Probably the next one coming up, I bet. Thinking local law 5 for the, no, it must have been the first one. must have been
Solar.
Number 3 for solar. Correct, Billy? Am I right?
Yeah, she's probably here on the solar, but she's probably here in regards to the solar that's coming on the planning board on,
Ah,
yeah,
so you're here
on-
for the one that would be,
for the planning board on Thursday.
Yes,
That's nothing to do with.
that one won't be held, won't be, the hearing for that tonight will be on the 10th.
I thought it was supposed to be here too.
No, the one that we had for solar for here was for, real quick. We already closed that one, and that one was number 3. It was just adding a new chapter to the town of Champlain code entitled Community Choice Aggregation Energy Program. So that's the one that's going on the Leggett Road, and they need to do a study to see how much.
No,
money
that's-
it's
That one's going on the lake road, that's Clark Road,
Yeah.
behind the Clark Road.
No, that's
From
the
the
one that's on
Mason
the
Road?
10th, that's the one that's on the 10th, that's, this company, Brian McCune.
Yeah, that's the one for Thursday
Next
night's
time.
meeting
Yeah.
at the planning board.
That's
That's
next,
the public hearing for Thursday night.
yeah, that one's Nexam Solar, and that one's scheduled at the planning board meeting on the tenth.
It gets confusing because there's a lot going
You
on
might
with
say
this.
because the both of those things, I've got them, where'd I put them here?
You got a notice from the planning board regarding the public hearing.
Yes, and then there was something in the paper. Take notice,
Well,
7
both of
o'clock.
them were in the paper, yeah.
Probably together.
November 8th at 7 o'clock, the office. It says local law 3, whatever that is.
Yes, that's that one.
Yes.
One's tonight. and
Yeah,
one's
one's
next.
tonight and one
No,
is.
I know that, but I'm saying, did they appear in the paper?
Yeah,
on the
both of
same
them
day?
did.
Probably, yeah.
And
So I
that's
don't know if they.
No, they
could rescind
appeared
it.
different,
Did they?
yes, and then I didn't even, I don't get the paper anymore,
Okay.
so I just got pictures that they sent me that told me what was going on. So if you're just having a thing on that planning board for it, what, once you've gotten that far, there's nothing we can do about it anyway, is there?
Well, a public hearing is to voice your opinion. You can gather the information and you can go to the meeting and you have your chance to give us your opinion on how
And then you do
feel
what you
about-
want.
On how you feel about it.
And then you do what you
And then, yeah,
want.
the planning board has to weigh how significant it is and if it requires a change or.
I've done that route.
It still has to go to the zoning board too, Joe. It goes to
Yeah.
both boards. Planning board is site plan review,
Yeah,
and then it'll go to the zoning board next week
right.
for special use approval.
I'm hoping that it won't go through because it's a bunch of garbage.
Your opinion's valued.
Yes.
We wanna
Oh.
hear it. We do.
Mm-hmm.
So the meeting's at 5:30 Thursday.
I'd come and voice your
The only thing is I can't be there Friday, Thursday I have a meeting, so that's gonna be very helpful. Thank
You can write something if you want, and we can present it, if you
Yeah.
wanna write
Could do that.
something.
Yep,
I'll send it with one of the others.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Joe.
Thank
Sorry
you,
about
Joe.
that. Well, we might as well, move forward. So, motion to close this public hearing for local law 4 and open public hearing local law 5.
Make that motion.
One second.
Well, local law number 5 is at 7:15, so
Right.
you wanna wait?
Okay, let's go back and take care of these then.
Let's do 3 and 4.
Let's go back into the regular meeting session.
Okay.
Need a motion for
Change the
that?
motion, yeah, change the motion to leave public hearing for law 4 and go back to, regular business.
Motion made.
I'll second.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That puts us back to, report from supervisor. Good evening. Congratulations to the NCCS boys and girls soccer teams for advancing to regional competition this season. What a great year for all of our Section 7 soccer teams. There were 4 schools that advanced to regionals this year. An exceptional achievement for both teams and their coaches. Great job, athletes. We're all proud of you. I want to report on the Safe Drivers Course. There were 20 attendees at the Safe Drivers Course held Saturday, November 5th. Thank you to Rosa's Point for providing the meeting room at their hall for this event. ATS expects to schedule another course in late January or early February 2023. I recently met with the Vice President of Economic Development at the Chamber of Commerce. The purpose of this meeting was to discuss our economic plans and our marketing strategies here in the town of Champlain. We discussed our marketing website, the new solar and cannabis law, the status to update our comprehensive plan, and subsequent zoning laws. And I explained our focus in regards to applications to restore New York funding for our vacant commercial properties. With this, the Chamber was impressed with our achievement in these fields, and they feel that we are getting all fields suitably aligned for future growth in the town of Champlain. They are eager to see our marketing video and the website when it's rolled out, and it will be shared on all the websites within the Chamber. In the meantime, they will communicate and share our goals in their meetings and webinars. We have a leadership meeting scheduled this month on November 21st. Topics on the agenda are joint youth program agreement and our contracts with Champlain EMS. We are continually moving forward with our marketing initiative, and this will be reported by Councilmember Mr. Bori. I've been working on many projects that will come to fruition this year regarding restoring our grant funding to address abandoned properties, upgrades to our water booster station, several solar projects, which will now follow guidance under our new solar law. And of course, we have our repairs to the water tanks. Plattsburgh Rotary is conducting a holiday card collection. The donated cards will be distributed to seniors that are homebound in nursing homes or hospitals over the holidays. So please donate any unused cards you may have. The town of Champlain is collecting cards for the Rotary, so you can drop them off here at our office at 10729 Route 9 until November 28th. And if you look at the flyer, you can also, if you wish, sign your name in the card. If you want it to be delivered that way, that is welcome as well. Or you can do it from groups. Announcements. Our town offices will be closed this Friday, November 11th, to observe Veterans Day. And we wish to extend a thank you to all of our veterans for their service. Our offices will also be closed on Thanksgiving Day, November 24th, and the day after Friday, November 25th. Wishing all of you a safe holiday. We still have COVID kits, surgical masks, and KN95 masks available. And again, the town is still looking to appoint more alternates to both the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Board. Please consider serving the town in this capacity, as we need talented citizens of this township to become involved and assist us in moving forward. Thank you. Reports from the council members. Mr. Hunter, would you like to start off?
I would love to start off. Let's see, first of all, with the Champlain Fire Department, they had an excellent turnout at their breakfast, probably the largest turnout they've ever had, according to Chris Tremblay, so that's great news. They're also presently waiting on the approval of their application, so that is still in limbo at this present time.
Okay.
The Village of Rouse's Point Fire Department is reporting that on December 10th at 7 o'clock, there will be a parade of lights. Also on December 17th, there will be the Children's Christmas Party, and that will be from noon till 3 p.m. at the fire department. And I believe there's also the CP Rail that comes through
Christmas
is
tree,
also
train, yeah.
is also scheduled for November. Don't hold me to this date. I'm not sure I'm going to hold, but that is coming up toward the end of November. So watch
Yeah,
the town of
yes.
Champlain website for further
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, watch the website, we'll have that posted. It's in the paper.
It was, and I failed to write it down, so I'm not gonna put out a date and time until I'm 100% positive. So,
Hopefully it'll be a balmy night like we've been so fortunate to have lately.
Yes, we have been fortunate.
Yeah.
so, that's it as far as, local fire departments. As far as EDUs, I do have two pieces of correspondence that have recently been drawn up after the EDU Appeals Committee met. I'm going to put these before the actual EDU Appeals Committee for review and stamp of approval, and these will go out to our two commercial property owners at that time.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, thank you.
That's it, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Rochester.
Well, I don't really have anything new to add to, what's been going on. I'm just, the doctor that I work for has been asking me, what is gonna happen to that building that is right next to the dental office, to the right of us, where they used to have a nice Chinese restaurant? I think to myself, what a waste. That is such a prime location to have something going on, another little restaurant. I mean, I miss that Chinese place.
The one in the
That was-
corner where the gas station was as
And
well?
there was a gas
Yeah.
station there, there was like a little mini mart at one
Used to be
time.
Menards on that.
And
Mhm.
I think, they had a nice restaurant, the Sandpiper, years ago too,
Correct.
Yeah,
that
they
was
did.
there. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of restaurant type places in that. And I keep saying, well, we haven't had anybody with any, ideas about, putting something in there. I mean, what it is used for, that parking lot, is for the police to sit there and wait until somebody's going by too fast. And I tell you, I felt a lot safer when we had something active, lit up, going on there. I mean, the Cornerstone's pretty well lit up on the other side of us, but I leave, a lot of times a little bit later, and I miss that smell of Chinese food in the air.
I don't know what the status of that is, I'm not even sure if it's being marketed.
It's,
I haven't
it's
seen
in the
any-
village.
It's
yeah,
in the village,
It's
right?
in the
Yeah.
It is in
village.
the village,
I haven't
correct.
seen any signs of,
And I don't know if they,
life.
if I can add, I don't know, they took the pumps out of there, and a lot of these places that had gas pumps have,
It's hard to
so
market
I don't
them?
know, no, I don't know
Oh,
what they have underground, I don't know if there's a problem there or not, so that,
oh,
I'm not saying that there is, but
right, but there's a
you always,
potential.
it's always in the back of your mind when one of these places looks, but I know they took the pumps and stuff out of there, but
Yeah, I remember when they did that, yeah.
I would be hesitant to, purchase anything that had a gas station on it, to be honest with you. So I don't know if that's part of the problem or
It
what,
could be, yeah,
I have
it
no
could be.
idea.
But my goodness, I mean, there's so much traffic that goes
Oh,
through
yeah,
there
Yeah,
that,
definitely, it's a
Seems
great
to be.
location, like you said.
I'm hoping. But I guess all we can do is put feelers out and try to,
Mm-hmm.
mention it being such a good location. I'm very glad that the dental office moved there, it's really a nice, spot for us. Maybe somebody else will find that to be true too.
Check with the village board and see
Yeah.
if they ever
Then Nibbles,
considered looking into the Restore New York for that property. Maybe
yeah, a
that's
grant,
maybe that's a viable property to go after, they've only got till the end of the month to
oh really, it's that
put
soon?
a letter of intent in,
Oh.
but and I'm not meeting with them until the 21st, so,
Okay.
I could try to give Chris a call, but you could do that as well.
Yeah, I could do that, sure.
See if we could reach out to the owner.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they had a lot of people there at one time.
I know, there's a lot of stuff at one time.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll get there again.
Yes, it's a process.
Anything else, Ann?
Nope.
Thank you. Councilmember Bory.
All right, I'll start with zoning. There wasn't a zoning board meeting, in October, right, Julie? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I got canceled.
Yeah, and, so the next meeting is scheduled for the 17th of November at 5:30. So, and there's no public hearing, or is there a public hearing at that meeting? Don't
No.
think so, I think it's
No.
just a regular, yeah, so, it's on the 17th of November, it's 5:30 here at the, town office. So zoning, marketing committee update, we've, secured funding from the two other municipalities within the town, in order to, be able to pay for the marketing films that we have started and in the process of working on finishing. So, the current one is in the can, as they say, and, the script is being, I don't wanna say finalized, but it's in its, draft stage for the voiceover for the commercial, one. And, we are, currently working on what will be filmed for the, last installment, which is winter themed, but trying to highlight some other things, within the town, so working with Paul on that. Unfortunately, I have, Boyer Benner is supposed to get back to me with, what they've collected and what they've worked on through our focus group. That should be, I'd say any day now, it should be very, very soon. So last when I spoke with Aaron, they were, in the final stages of putting something together for us to review, so,
Beautiful,
yeah, so that
so
should be,
it's pretty close.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. You know, when I spoke with him, he said that they've worked with other groups and organizations, and a lot of times they have to do follow-ups in order to try to get a better picture, but apparently we were so comprehensive in what we brought to the table with them in the work that we've done, they said that that wasn't necessary.
Oh, wow.
That they had enough that they thought they could build something with all of that, so I thought that was nice.
It is very nice.
Yes, so I guess we're doing something right on our end, as much as we, you know, we're throwing
Yeah.
stones here in the water, and we're making some ripples.
The ripples.
Yep, so that was good. So hopefully, we'll have an update, I'll get an update to the supervisor as soon as possible, as soon as I get that from them. They're also working on, moving forward in terms of what would be, pricing, for the, maintenance of web and all that stuff, so they're
Okay.
supposed to have that as well. And thank you for the work that you're doing with the chamber. I think that's a valuable asset and a partnership that we need to foster and continue to grow. As we're trying to do our work, it's important, and definitely, connecting with the county and Calvin, and it's a group effort, right?
Yeah.
It's about how do we all work together for common goals, so I think it's excellent. Hometown Hero banners, they're gonna be up not much longer. It is Veterans Day, as the time we're taping this, it's Veterans Day at the end of the week, and the Champlain Technology Group has agreed to help us take them down for the season, and they will be stored over the winter months, and we will have them back up in the spring with all the new banners, and so that kind of leads me into the next piece of the puzzle. We are currently taking applications, and many thanks to Sarah Gagnon for her efforts in collecting that information. But we're trying to finalize the applications by the end of this year. So if anybody out there wants to put in an application for a banner in the town of Champlain, it's important that they contact Sarah here through the month of December, and probably before the holidays. So don't wait until the 31st of December, do it earlier in December, so we can be sure that we have your paperwork, your application in, as we will go through our review process in the winter time to get those banners ready for the spring. So please contact Sarah here at the town office at 518-298-8160. All right. I think that's it for me. That's all I have. So when's the report?
Also, don't forget, the Hometown Hero banner application is on the website. So if you want to fill out the application but can't come to the office, the application is on the website. You can, and normally I'm here from 8 to 4, so you can drop it off anytime. So this way you don't have to make 2 trips.
Yeah.
Good point, thank you.
And I should mention, and I don't, you know, I can't give specifics, but there are groups and individuals in the township, both villages and the town, that are soliciting individuals who would like to either donate money, gift cards, and or brand new items for children for the holidays. So if there's anybody out in the township or in the villages that want to help ensure that our local children have a nice holiday season, there are opportunities to get involved. I know the JCO runs a program, Cindy Bombardier runs a program. I know Mayor McFetridge was soliciting information from people if they wanted to participate. So there are lots of opportunities to ensure that there is a nice bright holiday season for everybody around here. So consider getting involved with that. Or if you are a family in need of holiday support, please reach out to the appropriate agencies in order to ensure that you can have a great holiday season.
Great point, thank you. Is that all?
That's it, so ends the report.
All right.
Supervisor Tremblay, I did look that up. The Canadian Pacific Holiday Train is scheduled to be in Rouse's Point on Pratt Street on November 28th at 8:45 p.m.
It's good timing, nice kickoff for the
Yeah.
holiday season.
Absolutely.
Probably be snowing.
What
by
time did
then.
you say, Rick?
The train will arrive at 8:45 and
8:45,
their
okay.
festivities will begin at 9 o'clock. And just as everybody should be aware, if you've never attended before, if you can afford, please bring canned goods.
Yes, it's a food
It's
drive as
really
well.
meant to kind of provide to people in the community that do not have what they
Yes.
should have.
Yes, bring a donation if you can. Okay, it's time for our public hearing for local law 5. Motion please to leave the regular meeting and open public hearing for local law 5 of 2022.
Motion is stated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public meeting is open.
Please take further notice that a public hearing will be held at the regular meeting of the town board of the town of Champlain on Tuesday, November 8th, 2022, at 7:15 p.m. at the town office building, 729 Route 9, Champlain, New York, as follows. Local law number 5 of 2022, a local law to override the tax levy limit established in General Municipal Law 3-C. All persons interested will be given an opportunity to speak or to offer written opinions, either for or against the proposed local law. Copies of said proposed local law are available for review at the town clerk's office. The meeting is open to the public. Other business will be taken up at this meeting by order of the town board of the town of Champlain.
Okay. Since there's no one here for the public hearing, I guess we'll go back into the regular business meeting for a while. We'll open at 7:30 for the hearing on the preliminary budget for 2023. I'll need a motion to leave public hearing local law number 5 and re-enter the regular meeting.
Motion is stated.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So that brings us back to the report from the town clerk, please.
I just have my report that needs approval.
I make a motion that we approve the town clerk's report.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the report? Okay. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Report is approved, motion carries. Anything else to add, Julie, all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, review of the post-audit bills or abstract. Are there any questions on it? It stood out, I didn't see anything.
Just, sir, can you summarize the Peterbilt, the bond note for us? There's a bond note in the amount of $66,458.
That's the first payment.
Yep.
That we bought the truck.
Correct.
We have to give them the first payment.
Okay,
With International, they take the trade in as the first payment.
Okay.
But Peterbilt does not, so we have to give them the first payment, and that's the first payment.
thank you very much. Correct.
We have that listed on the
So,
option
yeah,
to sell.
That was it for me on the abstract.
Okay,
yeah.
there's nothing
On
else.
the bills, I do have some questions though.
Okay, so I need a, discuss that first before we put a motion to approve, or we put a motion and then we'll discuss it.
So, it is my understanding with Carter's blacktopping on the Northern Tier Rec Trail, we've already paid them $2,500 and there's I believe on the bills, there's an amount of $4,000, so was it a total of $6,500 for paving that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. My second question is, in regards to the dangerous dog, how many days was this dog held for that amount that was paid? Do we know that? 3 days?
Trying to remember which one this was.
I think it's Ollie.
It is, but I didn't wanna mention.
It's on the first page.
Yeah, I believe,
Was it 3 days?
I believe it's like
It's there as
3 days.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
And this is, irregardless, it's just a question I have. Who does the cleaning in the building?
Lake Champlain Cleaners?
Okay. Right. And there was an amount paid to Jody Perrier. What was that amount for?
Inc.
Inc.
yeah, money.
Perfect.
Cause before, Kaylee used to, do her report on her computer and then email it to me.
Yes.
And now Jody's printing them
Okay.
along with all of the case files and everything, so that's Inc.
Okay. All right, very good. That's all I have.
Can I get a motion
We have
to,
some additional ones.
Yeah, we do have these additional on November.
Want me to read them or?
Very good.
yes, please, I don't have a copy of
The Casella
it. Here it is.
for monitoring for $4,567.50. First Light, monthly billing phone, $144.47. Industrial Med drug screening for $45. John Triller Judge Conference for $1,164.26. RMS Dubois Road Easement for $1,110.75. And then I think, is it another 7,000, Sarah?
Sorry.
So 7,031.
No, that's the total.
Oh, that's the total,
correct.
okay.
So, and then the bill list that you guys had was the next number, so the total
Is it 79?
is the bottom number.
79,168.39.
Yep.
I'm getting better, I'm sorry.
That's
Oh,
all right.
that's great.
This is
Thank you.
perfect.
That's perfect, thank you.
So I have a question. Judge conference, was that a one night?
No, that was a weekend,
That was a full weekend.
yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. So we'll need a motion to approve the monthly bills for a grand total of $79,168.39.
Motion is stated.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, need a roll call please?
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye.
Morse code?
And you have the report from the code enforcement officer.
Congratulations to Chris on the passing of his water C license.
Thank
It's
you.
a
Thank you,
great,
you're right.
great thing I think we should mention, so I just wanna put that out there.
Thank you for doing that, because you're right, we do need to recognize him for that. So yes, congratulations, Chris. Do you have any questions on his report? Anything that's listed here, I may be able to answer?
Any rationale as to why the water shut off on Eden Lane? Just, tries to move away from town, or for town water, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're, not moving away from town water, moved away from the house,
Okay,
moving out.
all right. Okay.
Report from the, dog office, from the,
Highway supervisor, Alan is getting his trucks ready for winter, they are done with sand. So the guys are in the shop, going through the trucks, greasing them, you know, getting everything ready for winter. So,
I'll be
hopefully,
along.
I know, I met a state truck today with a plow on it.
Not a good sign.
It's not a good sign. Well, thanks for that, I didn't realize you'd shared that with, I'm sorry. I didn't have anything here from him, so I was going over it. Next one would be report from the dog control officer. I got a lot of copies of that.
Do we, I guess my question is how often that we actually have, dogs that are underweight? And what is that policy,
Well,
when that's reported?
okay, so in this case, it was reported to Jody, and he is monitoring the dog and trying to help, okay?
Okay.
He has, I've spoke to Ag and Marks, to the supervisor, to try to get clarification, because there was an individual in the village that was really upset about this, thinking that we should seize the dog, and the dog control officer has no authority to seize an animal for malnutrition or being abused. It has to be done by law enforcement, so the only thing Jody could do as a dog control officer is ask the court to issue a summons, you know, of seizure, and it would go to the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department would have to seize the dog. Jody would transport to whatever vet they wanted to take it to. So it wouldn't even fall under the town.
Okay.
In this case, I could bring you up to speed on the dog. It is gaining weight, and
Okay.
I think it's because of what Jody's done
Right.
to try to help.
Good.
My question is, what kind of follow-up is in place? So once a dog actually has gained some weight and seems to appear nutrition appropriate, what's the follow-up with this family to make sure that this dog continues down that same path?
From town or the dog control officer, there's
Right.
nothing required. So
Okay.
it's gonna be neighbors, the normal, you know, people that are heartfelt for animals,
Okay.
make a complaint.
All right, thank you.
So hopefully, he's on the road to recovery, I'm hoping.
Good.
Anything else on the, DCL's report? Okay, we're almost 7:30. So under correspondence, we have the planning board minutes. All of you had.
I noticed in the minutes, it didn't indicate that, the mentioned property was, it indicated that they weren't gonna put up a fence, but according to correspondence from our code enforcement officer, it looks like there's gonna be an 8-foot fence around the property.
I saw that,
Cause there was a discrepancy, and that's why I guess I'm
yeah,
asking.
I saw that there was gonna be an 8-foot
So did the
fence, and
town
I
request a fence around it? Because the way the planning board minutes appeared, it seemed like it was at the town's discretion if they wanted a fence.
I think the fence is just going around the panels themselves, right?
Yeah, I think there's a fence going around it, it says it in the plans, I think,
Yeah, I didn't think it was in the plans themselves.
no?
Nah.
I thought it was, but I did notice that.
Yeah, I
it
think
stated the
they
fence.
got that they're putting a fence around it.
Okay, that's good. I think there should be.
I was here for like the first hour of the meeting, I didn't make it through the whole meeting.
Said, Ryan, individual stated that there's no fencing on the plan, but if the board wants fencing, we can do that.
Well, that's a condition, I think, that zoning board has put on.
Okay.
The meeting went pretty well, I mean, it's a learning curve for the planning
Sure.
board. But having, Mr. Renee there was helpful. Then we have the report from the JCEO. For our members, We have our October call report from EMS. And as you can see, to date, there's a total of 17,429 loaded miles, so
There's a,
it's a lot of trips.
if you notice at the top in terms of the yearly total, they've got 1,083, but at the bottom in their table from January through October, they've got 1,228. So is the difference that 145 just mutual aid?
Could be, I'm assuming.
That might be something we can kind of get some data on.
Yeah.
Because there is a discrepancy there.
7:30.
7:30, okay, we'll need a motion to leave the regular business meeting and enter public hearing on preliminary budget for 2023, please.
As stated.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Town of Champlain notice of public hearing upon preliminary budget for the year 2023. Notice is hereby given that the preliminary budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2023 has been completed and filed in the office of town clerk at Champlain, New York, where it is available for inspection by any interested person at all reasonable hours. Further notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of Champlain will meet and review said preliminary budget and hold a public hearing thereon at the town office in Champlain, New York on Tuesday, November 8, 2022 at 7:30 PM. In that, at such hearing, any person may be heard in favor or against any item or items therein contained, pursuant to section 113 of town law. The proposed salaries of the following town elected officials are hereby specified as follows. Supervisor, $19,380. Council members, 4 at $6,150. Town clerk tax collector, $30,858.82. Highway superintendent elected, $19,893.06. Working superintendent, $44,757.49. Notice is also given that the regular town board meeting will be held immediately following the budget hearing by order of the town board.
Thank you. Okay, since we have no one here, do I close this hearing, go back to general business, and then we address all these, all 4 of these?
Again, there's nobody here from the public.
Yeah, it's 7:30.
7:34.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, so motion to end the public hearing on the proposed budget and go back into our regular business meeting.
Motion as stated.
Second.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so why don't we look at approving the budget next, please, and then we'll go to these over here and address them. So this is all the data that we reviewed at our last budget meeting. Sarah's been real busy finalizing the changes that we requested. I wanna thank the board, I think we did a great job trying to remain under the tax cap in considerations to some of these line items that were required. I think it's a good budget. So, welcome motions to approve, and we're gonna have further discussion if you like.
I'll make a motion to approve the, 2023, proposed budget.
Thank you.
I second that motion, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, do we have any further discussion, or anything we wanna question Sarah, that's why she's here, this would be the time to do it. And is there anything that you want me to point out in regards to this? Right. For an example, the 2023 total tax rate is $1.60 a thousand, is that correct? And I don't have last year's in front of me. Remember last year's?
Sorry, got a lot going on this week.
Yes, you do.
I can't remember my name from yesterday.
So it looks like last year's total was $2.13, but of course with the reassessments, it brought the rate down to $1.68. And I guess I should point out to the public, when you do get your tax bills, please remember there's 3 lines there. One of them is your fire district. They're at $444,378, so they're $1.59 a thousand, and EMS is at $340,000, which equates to $1.22 a thousand. So that's all part of that overall bill, but if you look at the breakdown, you can see where the town stands and where our EMS and our fire protection stand.
Between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, a lot of people I don't think really scrutinize the bill, they look
They
at the
don't.
total. And I'd like to point out that they should really look it over. All right, there's no further discussion, excuse me, could we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Thank you, budget is passed. Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, thank you.
There's a lot of work the past several weeks. Okay, so we will go back to the order. So we need to approve these 3 local laws that we have. So, we will need a motion to approve local law number 3 of the year 2022. And that is a local law adding a new chapter to the Town of Champlain Code entitled Community Choice Aggregation Energy Program. So that is for the NIMET solar project.
I make a motion that we approve local law number 3 in the year 2022.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next one would be local law number 4 of 2022. A local law to increase the income eligibility to $26,000 for persons with disabilities and limited income in accordance with chapter 187 of the laws of 2006, and to increase income eligibility to $26,000 for properties owned by persons 65 years of age or older in accordance with chapter 186 of the laws of 2006. And again, I just wanna add that also includes a sliding scale, which I think is the theme of this law. So I'll be looking for a motion to approve local law number 4.
Make a motion to approve local law number 4 as presented.
Thank you.
I second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Next will be local law number 5 of 2022, a local law to override the tax levy limit established in the general municipal law 3-C.
I make a motion that we approve local law number 5 of the year 2022, as stated.
Thank you. And a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. This is covered for you, Julie? We're all caught up?
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm back to, where was I? I was in the correspondence.
Under animal shelter.
Yes, the idea is for animal sheltering, community sheltering and cooling area. This was from a meeting I attended with,
Bob Robert.
pardon me?
Bob Robert?
Yes, thank you. I was trying to remember the name.
Oh,
It's gonna be finalized, we can just provide information to you that these are the locations that we came up with in the meeting. If there's any questions regarding that?
That in case of emergency?
Yes, in
Yeah.
case of emergency, or disaster of some sort.
Catastrophic nature.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like the ice storm, for,
Mm.
we all lived through it, we know what that was.
Fun, so much fun.
Yeah. Planning board, the implementing regulations on seeker. Okay, so that brings us to new business. We need to approve some transfers. Do you have those in front of you by any chance? So we'll, require, I'll read them off and we'll just do one motion for all of the transfers.
Yeah.
So we are moving from A1680.200, which is computer contractual, to a total of 389.40 to 83510.400 control of dog contractual and A8010.400 zoning contractual. From B9901.900 transfer to other funds used. It'll be a total of 7895.48, and it will go into 3 accounts. B 8160.400 street cleaning contractual, B 9030-800 social security benefits, and B 3620-100 safety inspector personnel. Then from DB 5110.400 maintenance of roads contractual, we will be moving a total of $34,498.70 to DB 5130-202 machinery equipment. Then from DB 5112-400 road construction contractual, $21,223.58 to DB 9730-700 bond anticipation note contractual. Then from SW 7-8310-405 water legal, moving $676.65 to 2 accounts. SW 7-8310-408 water utilities, and SW 7-8310-415 water loan interest. Motion to approve those transfers.
Make a motion as stated by the supervisor.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, Julie.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Motion carries. Next thing on new business is we have a request to waive penalties Three EDU bills, is that correct? I only have two here.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, two on the page, sorry.
Well, I think you talked about the first one already, but.
First one, but not the last two. That was a re-levy.
I see that written there.
Yeah, so the first one being this one, the $339 amount closed. So that's one we discussed previously at the last budget meeting?
No, the other one was the $11.30.
Correct.
Okay.
This was about 10% of it.
That one was discussed.
That one was discussed, so we're good with that one, we need to talk about these two then. So this one has a penalty of $22.60, and they are requesting a waiver for what reason, Julie? So I get my two straight here, I think I know who this one
Well,
is.
I think they were new owners.
Is this the one where it,
Does she talk to you too? She
One of them was a new owner, right?
Yeah. The 2260 was new owners and they
this-
didn't get the bill.
2260? Oh, the penalty of 2260,
Yeah.
yeah, so the account 234-0.
Yeah.
Yes, that's somebody who had just moved and hadn't received the bill, and when received it, didn't know what EDU meant. Just had no idea what it was.
Right.
So, that actually led to some discussion in the office of whether we should put some sort of better description
Explanation, though?
an EDU bill, because it really doesn't make sense to a newcomer, right? So, it wouldn't hurt if we could add better description to that, so when somebody new moves into town, buys a house, gets their first water bill and EDU.
What's on the website right now for that, do you know? Is there anything?
I don't know, I can look.
Cause that might be something that we can start there, and then, maybe, each quarter when they go out, actually, include something that is a little bit more descriptive.
Printed on it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, 'cause
that's a good idea.
I would've been calling, asking myself.
Equivalent dwelling unit.
she could have called and asked, yeah, she just
But,
didn't have a clue. So, I know, at least I believe your past policy has been to do this one time for folks, or at discretion of individual.
right, and we don't have anything in our code that actually addresses that either.
No,
There might be something that we can look at for,
The future.
August, or July, August of '23.
yeah,
So-
I think it should be added.
I thought it said something on the discretion of the board.
Right,
Yeah, I
So
think
it's ongoing.
It's very general.
right.
So, if we look at this one in particular, I guess I would call it lack of knowledge, but whatever. It was somebody new, didn't know what it was. Finally followed up when they saw a penalty.
The problem is people buy these places and the realtor doesn't say you're
Going
in a
to-
water district or
Yeah.
you're in,
Right.
you know what I mean, so they don't know. So then they start getting these bills and they're wondering what they are.
Yeah, so once I explained it to her, what it was, what EDU meant, she
So
had
she
understanding.
understands going forward, she's gotta pay the,
She just asked if we could, remove the penalty. What does the board think?
yeah. Yeah, considering you're new owners, I guess we could waive it.
So you're making that motion?
I'm making that motion.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Do I need to call for a little bit of mine?
What are you gonna do?
If you want it on record.
Yeah, let's do it.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Champlain.
Aye.
It brings up a point that, how do we make a better effort to educate newcomers?
You're right.
That's
Right.
it's a bigger conversation maybe, like, for lack of a better phrase, a welcome wagon or some kind of a notification or some kind of a
Right.
connection, whether we're partnering with the real estate agents or the, the realtors, or we try to find out as quickly as possible those new
Sale?
sales, and so we can send out some kind of correspondence, or, I
Well,
don't know how easy that
would-
is, but.
You would be notified when they're changing the accounts, right?
well, I don't get notified until I get my new taxes. And then I really don't know, I mean, I get the new listing, but I don't
Right.
know, but we've been dealing with the county on this because we've had issues in the past, so Tammy now sends me a list when there is a new owner,
Transfer
And then,
of ownership.
or address change or something, and I go through and I change it.
So what else could be beneficial to people that are looking to purchase in the actual town of Champlain, other than EDUs, that they need to be informed about, that maybe isn't as descriptive as it could or should be?
Oh, and Perry's Mills Road is not spelled
I don't
properly.
know, I'm just wondering if it might be, again, I'm gonna go to the website, because that's our society today,
reference,
they're gonna
yeah.
look at something like that, so if we were to kind of address, something specific to new property owners.
That's a good idea, Rick, that is a very good idea.
Do we wanna address them to
Mm.
contact the office for further information, or do you wanna try to get all this information on a page?
I think,
So they
I
don't
think to
get
contact
frustrated.
the office, first of all, sets up the relationship between the actual town of Champlain and the people in the town and the actual new property owner, and I think that's even better than just putting something that possibly might require changing on an ongoing basis, and if it doesn't get updated on the website, then where are we?
Yeah.
Well,
we probably
Why
should
would it
come up
have
with
to
something.
change if we have
Might be
a
part of our
blanket
marketing.
statement?
Yeah, we could work on something that was,
There's going to be a fee
look at all
there.
things.
Right, well, with the blanket statement, fine, but if we put anything in terms of like what the rates are and
Oh,
and
no,
it
no,
doesn't get
I was not
updated or,
proposing to go
Right,
into that.
right.
I
Just
know
a
where you're going
very,
with this.
you
Not
know,
utilities, but
blanket
you know where I'm going
statement.
with that.
Yes, I understand.
And in regards to utilities, this is what it means.
Yes, correct.
you have this lovely feature that
So,
you're getting.
something else to work on.
water.
But also if we ever do the payment online,
right,
Ah,
you know what I'm saying, that'd be an awesome
way to.
Tab.
Right.
for
true.
them to be able to get information, but then also the payment online would be at that same tab, so.
Is that something we could possibly do this year?
Payment online?
I mean, we just approved the budget, I don't think we
There
actually
goes the
budgeted
squirrel,
monies for
thing.
that particular, but is it something we can do toward the end of the year if there's,
That's something that you guys, we've been thinking about it, but with everything going on with COVID money,
no, we can't use that.
right, I know, but that's where
So it would,
I don't see us being able to add more to our water. That would be a water fee. You know what I'm saying, that would go into our water fund because that's,
yeah,
and with us doing repairs to the water towers and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah, this year.
I don't see that this year.
yeah. But, and we do have to address water rates soon, probably at the next meeting.
Well, maybe if we could table this at this time in terms of how to address something like this, but it will give us time to give some thought.
Mhm.
And maybe at our next meeting, maybe we can come up with a better way of hopefully helping new property owners in the future.
Oh, in regards to this
Yeah.
discussion, yeah, I think.
Because I think there's a lot of other things we should include, like if they're pet owners, what are the pet policies, They need to have, rabies vaccination, they need to have,
in the
certificate,
license.
correct, exactly,
Right.
all these things, so.
I think Jason was already notating that on the to-do list.
Yes.
Okay, so, that motion carried,
We got one more penalty.
and we have one more penalty here. This one here, he came in after how many quarters?
Well, this was for the full year,
Yeah.
and he said he never received his EDU bill from the beginning. So, he came in and he paid the amount without the penalty. And he approached me and I said that I can't wait, I don't have the authority to waive the penalty, so I sent him to see Tom.
But this covered the full year,
This was a full year.
but the
He said-
actual bills go out on a quarterly basis,
Yes.
so he didn't get any of the 4.
That's what he claimed.
That's what he
Interesting.
claimed.
But he did get his water bills
Right,
because,
to the same mailing address.
yes, cause I checked and the addresses were the same.
And he's, you know, he's not a new resident. His comment was he assumed that the loan was paid off. I said, no, you've got a few more years for that.
3.
27.
27, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I told him I would bring this to the board and let the board decide on, if they would waive it or not. And has he ever done this, ever had to request a waive for?
No, not that I know, we never got
before?
away, no.
Um, Looks like in 2021 it was re-levied though.
And it's a grand total of $11.30.
No.
No, this is for $34 and, 1 cent.
Okay.
And I don't have that other one in front of me, I don't know why, I have the two, but I don't have that third one.
It's on,
Yeah, I looked at it online, I didn't see the,
Yeah, there's 2 on one page here.
that one there is a two.
That
it's
one has
that
two.
bottom one, correct?
Yeah,
The bottom
Yeah.
one's one we're discussing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So it's the views.
I'm not in favor of waiving it in this situation, but that's my position.
Okay.
I could understand if it was 1 or 2 possibly, but the whole year's worth, it just seems unlikely that you would
So I think
not have gotten that many times.
since we can't have a negative motion, I am going to put a motion on the floor to waive the penalty. We'll ask for a second and we'll discuss and then we will vote accordingly. If we vote it down, we vote it down, because you shouldn't have a negative motion. So I'll make the motion that we waive the penalty. We have a second? So we can have discussion?
I'll second your motion.
Okay,
Sure.
so now in discussion, we've discussed how this took place. And I think that's another reason why we really need a specific code or policy to describe how we handle these, if we're considering allowing one in a lifetime, or how, whatever the deal may be. But that's for further business. Is there any further discussion? I said, then we should just put it to vote. And it's either yea or nay.
Okay.
Can I do roll call? Yeah. Councilmember Rochester,
Nay.
Councilmember Bory,
Nay.
Councilmember Hunter,
Nay?
Supervisor Trombley.
Nay. Okay. That's how that motion got carried. Or uncarried. The right term is. Next thing on the list is, discussion on a change for local law number 2, our solar law, and that is in regards to a property that's being looked at where we realized we had an issue with the wording, I guess description for one, and how the law is written. So, in our solar law, the large-scale solar energy systems, with the exception of related fencing, landscaping, and access roads, shall meet the following setbacks. The front yard setback shall be 150 feet, except that the front yard setback shall be 500 feet for lots with frontage on US 11 or Interstate 87. So Chris pointed out that you need to look to see how frontage is described in the code. And I thought I had a copy of that right here. Lot frontage in our code is the portion of the lot abutting upon a public street, public highway, or public road. That portion of lot which abuts a privately owned street shall not be considered lot frontage. So it's any public street, road, or highway. So then that puts you in a bind when you have a property that has 87 abutting the rear and Ridge Road abutting the front. Did you got copies of the maps, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Chris drew out, by its description, that's what would be allowed, that triangle shaped piece following 87. So Chris is recommending that we do a revision, or amendment, I'm not sure what the proper term is in regards to local law, Julie, but to the local law just to remove 87. I thought about, would it be easier to amend our code to describe frontage differently, as front yard frontage, for example, to the front yard of the property. But both, Julie, correct me if I'm wrong, both are gonna require the same amount of work.
Yeah.
They're both gonna require us to
Public hearing, yeah.
to agree on that tonight, schedule a public hearing. You know, it would actually have to be done next month, cause I'd have to write the amendment in local
Right.
law, present it next month, schedule a public hearing for the following month. So with that said, I'm thinking it'd probably be better just to remove the 87 out of that. I don't know, what's your thoughts, which way would you rather go? I mean, have you thought about this, Rick, and looked at it?
So are we gonna remove just the Interstate 87 or the US 11 or Interstate 87? Because based upon where his triangle is, we're only referencing Interstate 87.
Yeah, so
Correct.
Chris's recommendation is just to remove Interstate 87 because with frontage on US 11,
Right.
it applies. You will never have
That
front
issue.
yard frontage on
Correct.
87 is his
Correct.
point.
That makes sense.
So I would have removed the Interstate 87.
Yeah, I think you're
Okay.
right.
Okay,
That
so
makes
what,
sense.
You agree, Jason? Yeah, cause we're trying to target a specific area, right?
Area.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and in hindsight, we were as well at 87. The problem is you will never have a front yard. So you have to, you know, and as Chris pointed out, you know, the state, the DOT, right away is gonna be 100 feet or so from the roadway, as you can see. Somewhere in that area.
So we will have to, can we make this change on our own, or do we have to go back to River Street to kind of make this
No,
change?
no, I think I can write this up, send it to Matt for review.
Okay, good.
And if he approves it in his review, then we move it on to next month's
And
meeting.
there's no reason on behalf of this to change any of our definitions that are presently in the code?
I don't believe so. So what I'll do is I'll follow that up with Chris this week, to make sure that he's still in agreement with this. That was his recommendation.
Did we have a definition of frontage on the actual code? Or is it just lot frontage that appears here on
Yeah,
this
it's
handout?
just lot frontage as far as I know,
Okay,
not just, I couldn't find just a definition for frontage alone. Double check though, if you'd like.
and maybe that's just a point to make to Matt. You know, in terms of like, instead of this being with frontage on US, lot front, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
I'll send him, what I'll do is I'll send him both. And a description of why we're amending the solar law
Alright,
and see what his say,
okay,
okay?
yep, fine with that.
Okay, so that brings us to approval, bless you, for, planning services for the comp plan. I think this one's gonna require a little bit of discussion before we put a motion on it, because it's can be somewhat convoluted here. So, did you guys do as I did, and based on costs alone, bring it down to 2? Declined. I brought it down to 2 because one I felt was so much more than the other 2. I really considered the 2 lower ones. Did you agree?
There's a large discrepancy between the lowest and the highest,
Right.
a large amount.
Right.
Was that something we discussed last?
We did a little
Me
bit.
too, I thought we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were asking for additional time to kind of,
Yeah,
Okay.
mull it over.
So what we did was we tabled it because we had questions to look at the 2 of them to try to get a closer comparison apples to apples, okay? So I posed the question to, put this up, how do I tell you?
Was it AES and?
To River Street in regards to, you know, will you attend county planning board meetings, because the other one said they would. Regarding the 239 referral, and their draft all required resolutions for each municipality, and is the cost of grant application for zoning and subdivision included, or will that be a separate quote? And I believe I copied you with the answers.
we did.
Right, it's not their experience in county planning boards, including county expect attendance. The 239 reviews, however, we will attend with the town and village if that is a county's expectation. They will draft all required resolutions for each municipality as part of the proposal, and the grant applications for town and village related to zoning and subdivisions are not included in this proposal. So what I did was, I did send this information to the mayor because I felt you kinda gotta piece it out. We agreed to do a joint comprehensive plan, which is really the top portion of River Street's quote, correct? And we put in the RFP to do it as one ball of wax, because in my conversations, actually with Monica, when I was writing the RFP, we felt it would be cleaner to do that up front, so we know what we're dealing with going forward. But the village may not need to do, they just updated their zoning, and it may not require but a couple of revisions based on whatever we do with the comp plan. So they may not even need that. So it kind of backs it out on us. It's like, it's almost like we should look at just the cost of the comp plan, and then either we make a determination to look at this later, after we apply. I don't know. Did you look at the qualifications of the 2 of them as well, because that was another criteria, and also, we put criteria in RFP. Well, here's, the written proposal should be evaluated by the town board as to the following criteria: organization, completeness, and overall quality of the proposal, qualifications and relevant experience of the consultant team, and the consultant firm's recent experience with communities with attributes similar to the town of Champlain. And then, of course, cost effectiveness of the proposal. So I can tell you, I'm kinda leaning towards one that's recently done a lot of work with us in our zoning, and has probably studied zoning up and down and backwards. The other one made an offer to do the applications for the zoning for free, so that's, probably about I think he said about a $7,000 amount if we were applying for both village and town. We may be, at that point, we may be doing it just for the town, I don't know. Because we're not in a joint agreement for that portion of it, we're only in a joint agreement. That's why I sent it to Janet, is I felt we needed to
Clarify.
her to digest it, and then we sat down this morning and, you know,
For her
that-
thoughts.
That was a good point. And her thoughts was she's, you know, done so much work with this firm in regards to their zoning, that's who rewrote their zoning, that they know the
And
village.
which one is
They
that?
know the village so well, River Street.
Mm.
They know the village so well, she knows that they've been working with the town on zoning. Her thoughts was, that was the one she chose. And I think,
Is this with the flood risk assessment or without?
on River Street's quote, the optional task for flood risk assessment and planning is additional.
That's correct.
If we decided we needed it. or
That's
wanted
correct.
it, okay?
So how do we feel about that? I
And-
guess that's my question.
And in AES's, when I questioned it,
Right,
it was, we don't really think you need it based on the county, I mean, did you read that
mm-hmm,
paragraph? You know, but if you required additional, what does it say, our fee does not include a full comprehensive flood risk assessment. More information on developing a new flood risk assessment can be found here, and it would take several days for them to complete a fee estimate, so they would be charging for it
correct.
if we requested that. And I'm not sold that we would need it, I guess I'd have to have more discussion with whoever takes this on about
Right.
the value of doing that.
So Janet felt fine with the amount without the flood risk assessment,
Correct.
okay? So we're talking 104,500,
No, we're talking 42,000.
42,000.
Yeah,
That's a big difference.
well,
That is a big difference.
because
Part of it they don't need, basically.
part of it they don't need, right. So for us, I'm gonna have to find out how we even
Break that
divide
down.
it, how we would do
And we
that.
won't know till
The for-
December in
the
terms
40
of what the grant will pay.
Right, so, okay, let's say we approve this one at $42,000 for the comp plan,
Right.
and we are awarded the grant.
Mhm.
It's a 90%, 90% funding,
Mhm.
so then we would be splitting the $4,200 between the village and ourselves.
No,
No?
we won't split it because my time is in there.
Oh, but we'll figure out how to split it, let's put it that
Exactly.
way. So we're still sharing the cost of that
Okay.
10%. Then on the bottom portion, we would, if we have them do the zoning and subdivision update, then we were responsible for the additional 27.5. But again, that's dependent on receiving grant funding to do that. And I don't have a quote on that at this time. What was the comp plan cost? Like 3,000-4,000, I can't remember. 3 to 4, right?
Yeah.
So I doubt it would be more than that. That'd be a ballpark, I guess, for best guess.
But isn't the town supposed to go with low bidder?
And if you look at it that way, they are. Because the other one's 45, I had him break it down, the comp plan is 45,000. That's in this email that I sent you,
From AES.
yes. And the zoning and subdivision update is 22.5 compared to the 27. So it gets to be splitting them here, but you do have to look at.
Qualifications.
Yeah,
I
just,
agree.
What you're getting for,
Well, AES, didn't they do our updates before?
They did.
I think they did, yeah.
Yeah.
So they have familiarity too.
yes, they do with the zoning. They are partnering with somebody to meet the, what is it, MWBE requirement.
Mhm.
in the RFP. I'm sure you all read that portion. So, I don't know.
Well, I'm sure they're both very competent.
I think we are, I think we're looking at two good firms.
But we don't have a lot of money to swing, you know, so at this point, we've gotta be,
It's kinda hard to look at because if you
not
look at.
apples to apples, it's,
Well, in a sense it's not, because if you're looking at just the joint portion that we are going to be sharing,
right.
then this one is $3,000 less. So the share between the village and the town would be less.
And that one is Riverside. The one
River
just heading
Street.
to River Street.
Yep. And then if you looked at our portion going forward for zoning and subdivision, plus getting the grant application thrown in, then
Mm,
that one's a better one.
that's a biggie too, that grant
That is a big one.
And they're very successful at getting grants. But probably the other one is too.
Yeah, I think they both are.
Mhm.
I think they both are. So. Jana understands that it's our decision.
Mm-hmm.
Our baby.
We just have to let her know which one, but, you know, I did tell her I'd share her thoughts. She leaned on that one.
Mhm.
Not just because it was less money, but because of the experience that she's had with them.
Mhm. Which has been all positive, she said,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, we've had positive experiences.
With both.
Well,
Yeah.
certainly, yeah.
You think in terms of qualifications, they're on level playing field?
If you looked at the qualifications, I think in regards to comp plan, this one's got a lot more experience.
That's what I thought.
A lot more. When you get into zoning,
Right.
Mm.
It's the other way.
it goes the other way.
I agree. So the question is where's the priority? And
Right.
I get, I mean, they're both priorities, but
Yeah,
I don't know how you break that down. It's almost like you could, wish I could kinda go with one for one thing and one for the other.
right.
Well, couldn't we?
Could we? I don't know. That's something to think about.
It's true, we are the consumer.
Why don't we look at it that way? Why don't we chunk it out? I'd have to contact both of them to see if that's an issue,
Yeah.
but
And-
I don't see why it wouldn't be. I mean, especially with River Street, that's why they broke this down.
Right, correct.
And then I requested a breakdown and got it in this one, so.
And then also just get clarification in terms of, you know, where they stand in terms of where they think the approval for the grant will come in, you know?
Mhm.
That's a big thing,
Oh, it is.
you know, to have, 90%
Oh, yeah.
versus 70%,
Yeah, that's a big chunk of change.
that's a lot of money. So, less on the taxpayer.
So, how do we wanna form that motion? Do we wanna approve just the comp plan portion of the proposal at this point? And table the,
Zoning part?
project two, which is the zoning and subdivision update?
Okay.
And I'll find out if that's gonna work or not.
And timeline wise, is it okay? I mean.
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay,
Cause I think it's December is when we'll find out if we receive that grant. So I mean, the work on the comp plan won't begin till after that.
okay,
Zonings would be a year later.
correct.
Mhm.
I guess another question would be, is this quote gonna be good a year from now?
You're right,
Or we
Is
have to
everything
re-quote
then-
it regardless?
and change.
Maybe this is to give us an idea of what we're dealing with. I think I have to have conversations with both sides. And, in regards to the zoning.
Yeah, because it's different.
Does that sound reasonable?
It does to me.
It doesn't hurt, I guess, to find out what the possibilities are, right?
Right. So what are we looking at in terms of just this one component being approved for tonight? How much?
The 42,000?
Yeah. So it's just the 42,000,
Mm-hmm.
and we would be leaning towards the River Street to
For that portion.
complete
For that
this
portion.
component.
That portion, which means I need to have conversations with both them that we are holding off on the zoning. How does that,
Affect that amount,
how does it affect it? Correct.
because it might be, it was a,
Contingent or something.
well, yeah, and all three of those pieces were part of that quote,
True.
so maybe it's more.
And maybe if we go that route, AES might not still offer the, grant application
Right.
included,
Right?
because they are gonna.
So our hands might be tied, so,
Yeah.
to a degree.
Does that sound, so you want me to do it, are we tabling it, or what's your thought there? And more work to do before we make a decision, or?
Well, a lot of variables are, in play here, so. And we may say to ourselves if we go ahead and with River Street, that, it might not be everything we hoped it would be.
Well, no, I think,
Which way.
I think if you look at just the zoning, you're fine, but I just gotta find out, how does that affect? Are those prices still, if we
Right.
do that, are those
Right.
prices gonna
Still
hold?
good.
Are we looking at 27.5?
And then what are we looking at for the zoning if we do it separately?
Right?
Is it still the 22.5 or not? And my guess is at that point, if we did that, then we'll be asking for quotes to do the grant writing for zoning when we get to it. I don't think it'll be included anymore if we check that out. I can find that out. But it feels like at this time, I think we need to just approve the comprehensive plan portion of it alone and all.
There's always tomorrow.
At the max amount, if it changes, then we have to revisit.
Right, that's what I'm saying, so up to that 27.5 or that 42,000, sorry.
42.
42.
Up to that $42,000 maximum. If it changes, then we have to revisit.
Revisit it.
I think that's
That
fine.
makes sense.
Is
I would
there
be
a
willing to
rush
approve that.
It has to be approved though, because nothing's gonna be done unless you get the grant. We don't know if we get the grant till December, right? The end
Yeah,
of
no,
December.
I could wait till next meeting, as I said, we could.
But we can put it in the
could table
proposal,
it.
right. In the-
Well, I'm just saying table it until you get the more information that you need.
Would we know early December, you think, on the grant?
Oh,
Or
I
is
don't
it-
know,
I don't remember when
when,
it was.
I thought it was the end of
I
December.
thought it was more middle. I thought it was more middle
So
of
we
December.
won't even know by the December meeting,
Possible.
possible.
Yeah,
And we have an extra meeting in December too, because we have a year-end
Right.
meeting, so if it has to be approved then, because there's an extra meeting in December.
Right, to close out basically the fiscal
The end of the year,
So if that's the case, that would give us time to call, see what,
right.
adjust those numbers. I
So
would
I'd
say
table it.
table it.
Yep.
Yeah.
me too. See if they have to, maybe they're gonna have to requote it separately.
Yeah.
And then how does that impact?
And
you know,
find out how long these quotes are good for too.
Do I have to amend the RFP to do that? I don't know. I'll have to read the RFP again. Cause it was project two, it was listed as project one, project two. So if project one stays the same, we could approve that separately. I
Right.
believe. So let's table it to next month. I'll
That
get
makes sense.
more detailed information
Okay.
and we'll go from there.
Sounds like a plan.
Let's see what it
It's
does.
just me, it's getting colder in here.
Ooh, I'm warm myself, but we got a jacket
Colder
on.
outside.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to
Yes.
dip
Well,
down tonight.
So what's
Yeah,
next
high
on the list?
Turn the heat on.
Next thing is review the RFP for
Probably
veteran
so.
services.
Yeah, you had
Ah.
water tank, yeah.
I'm gonna try to get this separate so I don't screw it up. So, control R6, where is that? RFP, here it is. Do you guys have time to look at that?
I did.
So this got sent out, the only reason I put this under new business is in case we had to go back out again. So far, we have had two decline, is that correct, Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah, two have declined.
Okay.
One because of scheduling, one because of the height. And we haven't heard from anybody else, so we have until the 11th, I believe. That was the date I gave.
Of this month?
Yes.
So the height scared them away,
So we're gonna have to,
rightfully so.
oh no, 17th, so no late, they have until the
17th of November,
Yes, that's till the 17th. They have until the 10th
with no questions.
for questions.
Right.
So do you think we should call the other two soon? Just to make sure that they're interested in moving forward, because otherwise we get to, I don't know what we have to do, go back to the drawing board. And maybe look at going out of state or see if there's any others that we missed. The problem is the height. Cause we had Triangle come look at it, I thought for sure they'd be the ones doing it, but
Kind of unrelated, but why is it that height? Why does the water tower have to be at that particular?
Well, I
Water
asked that
tank.
last time,
Water
didn't I?
tank.
And you told me that it was,
yeah, because they're both at the same
Above the ground, yeah, but I mean,
geographic level.
it just seems like it's
So-
way up there.
Yeah, it's because the other one's on Prospect Hill, so higher elevation.
that
So they're both at the
Is it
same,
that much higher?
so they set that one at the same sea level as that one.
Right.
And that one had to be adjusted to give us the correct pressures. That's how it ended up that high. It's like approximately 180 feet to the top of it,
Oh.
to the roof.
That's a lot.
So I think what we need to do in that, I guess this is just gonna be discussion, we're not gonna make any motions on this, but we'll give it till Friday, around here, so Thursday,
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't have a lot of time.
not a lot of time, maybe Monday, then we're gonna have to be making,
I'm not here Monday.
you're out here Monday.
I have a busy weekend.
You do.
I am not here Monday.
Congratulations, reason it's busy. Yeah, so I guess I'll have to contact them, and then we're gonna contact Aquastar to see if there is any way, why did they drop out of the electrical, they just
Right?
find out why they, unless you wanna start with them.
I
Why don't
think
we
it's
start with
best with starting with them. I mean, they're up there anyway,
Right.
so let's start with them.
Find out why they didn't wanna do the electrical. Is it because of qualifications and they didn't have anybody available, or what's the reason?
I think the height scares everybody.
But they're up there anyway.
They are.
There's me, I don't know, I think it's high.
You know when it's, you can tell how high it is when you're coming from the west. And you're coming through that little stretch there where Miramar is, and you look out and you see that tower and you're like, it's up there.
Yeah, should go stand underneath it.
Yeah.
You realize how high it is.
Yeah, I don't know, I
Okay.
I definitely wouldn't wanna be put in the mixer in it.
Okay, so the next one is introduction to local law number 6, and we need to set a public hearing, so I'm gonna introduce the law. And this is the one that Chris has been working on, you guys reviewed it. I've been making some minor electronic changes, trying to get all, it was just formatting stuff and spelling errors, capitalization errors, it was minor stuff. So I haven't seen, I don't think we're gonna find anything that needs to be changed. But when I get done with that, I'll email you a finished version of it. So the local law entitled Local Law Number 6, the year 2022, establishing a local government code enforcement program, be it enacted by the town of Champlain and Clinton County as follows. The purpose and intent. This local law provides for the administration and enforcement of the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code, the Uniform Code, and the State Energy Conservation Construction Code, the Energy Code, in this town. This local law is adopted pursuant to section 10 of the Municipal Home Rule Law. Except as otherwise provided in the Uniform Code, the Energy Code, and other state law, or other section of this local law, all buildings, structures, and premises, regardless of use or occupancy, are subject to the provisions of this local law. That's the introduction, and then to summarize it, the reason we are doing this is because we need to be aligned with the changes that New York State implemented already. So New York State made changes to their code enforcement program, so we have to add it, and we have until the end of December to get it done. So we just introduced it, we'll set a public hearing for next month, and we need to get it approved.
December 13th.
December 13th will be the public hearing,
What time?
6:45?
sounds good?
Okay.
So you need a motion?
Yes, please,
Make a motion that,
for the public hearing.
we set a date and time for the public hearing for a local law number 6 of the year 2022 on December 13th at 6:45 PM.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other new business anybody had before we leave the old business?
Things moving along with the, sand pit permitting, is that moving along?
Yes, Alan's, did he dig his test holes? Or that's
Tomorrow.
That's tomorrow he's doing it, he's digging test holes for,
Well, that's the
Aaron.
new sand pit.
Correct, on the other one, it's still under the 30-day, that ends on November 20th?
Give or take, yes.
Yeah. So we should hear from DEC following that point, whether we have a permit or not.
Okay.
By
is
the
that
end
like a
of- by
quick
the end of the
test
month.
that
So
they
soon.
do? Yeah,
Yes. But of course, Alan has finished hauling sand, thanks to Eatontown helping us.
oh, that was nice.
Yeah. And, but we'll be ready for next year on that one.
Good.
And yes, RMS is moving forward with all the outside work that needs to be done on the new pit. So hopefully we'll have that by, I would assume, spring or so. And if nobody has anything else for new business, old business, the dog law, I've just received the electronic version from Jody, so I gotta work that into what you did, and then we'll have to get it to the attorney. I was kinda wanting to send a package, but we're probably gonna have to piece it out. I don't wanna wait for the whole package.
Right.
And I don't know if it'll really impact costs that much anyways.
Okay.
And then, we haven't got any updates on Jeff Travers in regards to the handbook, right?
No, I sent him, we've had a little bit of communication. In October, we told him to go ahead, but I haven't heard anything from him since.
Do we wanna keep SS2 refinancing on old business, or just take it off at this point?
I would
I
say
think
take it off.
remove it.
Yeah, take it
We're
off.
not doing anything, right?
Well, we can't, the feds keep raising the rates.
Exactly right.
There's no way we
It's
can.
just not cost effective,
So, yeah, Julie, if you could
unless you find a big slush fund of money.
remove
Only
that.
one person in California won that.
Oh,
Did
Really?
that happen?
One person.
Billions, right?
Yeah, I think they said the net payout's like $952 million or something. It's like crazy. It's just crazy money.
doesn't make sense.
First thing you do is hire your own security guards
Oh,
I
after you get your.
right.
I think all these state lotteries need to rethink what happens once you go over a certain threshold.
Exactly right.
You get over 10 million, then let's start changing the way we do our prizes, so three numbers pays 500,000 or whatever,
Hmm.
some sort of to split it up,
Right, to split it,
Right.
yeah, I agree.
rather than let it grow to that extent, but I'm sure they make a lot of money, cause people will go and buy more and more tickets. 'Cause
That's true, they're crazy,
Well,
yeah.
the
I
bigger it
often-
is, they think they need more odds.
I mean, if you look at the odds, it's like 1 in, what, 290 million or
Oh,
something,
it's-
the chance of winning.
Yeah.
Like,
Incredible, yeah.
So what's the difference of buying, you know, $2 worth or,
I always say,
$200.
take that same amount of money you feeling like you're gonna win something, put it in the market. Give it a return.
put it somewhere, put it somewhere. Okay, noise ordinance.
Yep.
Yep, did Brian ever review what you've
He-
done?
I sent that to him on October 10th. I've not had any discussion with him regarding that, but I sent you my electronic copy today,
Okay,
so you have that.
okay, I will send
So-
him, I'll send him an email or
And I
something,
can-
ask him if he's been
once-
able to look at it.
Right.
And then the comp plan, well, that's kind of what we're dealing with and waiting to find out what happens, so I suppose that can stay on there. All right, I welcome a motion to adjourn, looks like all our business is done.
Oh, yeah. I make that motion.
Thank you, do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you, everybody.